Questions?
Questions. Right here to the right, Gabe.
Hey, Coach, how can you explain the offensive decline and what can be done to fix it?
Well, it's it's a combination of a lot of things. You have a couple young guys that have played quarterback, or guys that have not had a lot of experience. But last week I thought the big story of the whole game was we lost the turnover battle 3-0. Two of those were in the end zone, were touchdowns. We moved the football fairly well in our rushing attack. Third quarter we came out in a closer game. When we got behind, we weren't able to really execute that because we took a long time to score there in that third quarter, and we ran out of time. So it forced us into a different kind of football game, and it's a combination of a couple things. You can't have lose the turnover ratio of 3-0 and give up 300 yards rushing and expect to beat another division team or an SEC football team. So things work hand in hand. You're able to run it, you're able to do certain things, but when we, just like most teams in America, when we limit turnovers and penalties, we have won. And when we haven't, we have not won. And the turnover ratio becomes a complete team statistic, as we talk about every week. The ability to get turnovers and to keep the ball and protect the ball on offense, which we didn't do a good job of. We didn't get, and I think that's the first game in how long? We didn't get a turnover on defense.
Yes, sir.
And we turned it over 3 times, twice not going in to score, twice in the end zone. Penalties, we did all right, but we only had a couple. But that's been the story of this season. When we've been able to win the turnover battle and limit penalties, we've been a pretty good football team, and we didn't do that the other night.
To the left, Cease, and then down front, Brent.
Kevin, going this week, where are you at the starting quarterback and backup? How's that going to shape up this week?
Well, I can tell you this, Cease, that like I said Saturday, we were going to evaluate Kyler. Because you guys all know he left the game Saturday night, and so without being specific about injuries, which we never are, yesterday was more of a mental day with installation, game plan. We get back into pads today. We'll see where he is physically, and just where his status is through the week. And as I've said before, and I know people. I sit here every week and tell everybody the truth, and everybody tries to make up their own story. Whoever, Kyle and Jake, need to prepare this week, just like they do every week, but particularly right now, based on what happened Saturday, like they're going to start the game, and that doesn't change any other week. And so the pecking order from there will be based, just like it always has been, on practice. So we'll see where Kyler is from a physical standpoint, and if he's in a place where he's practiced because he needs the reps, he needs to be able to do that and ready to go. He'll be the starter. If not, then. We'll make a decision later on in the week. That'll come later in the week.
Down front, Brent. Right here.
Here in your 4th season, I know you've mentioned over and over, you say that we're not where we want to be. We're headed in so-and-so direction. In terms of a message to the fans, exactly where do you feel like this program is in its 4th season and where you're headed? I
would say this, that just like any coach, you want to win every game. You want to be undefeated. And my message would be, let's wait till the end of the season. Let's figure out, where we are.
Okay. To the left, Chip.
It appears that the receivers this season, more than last, at least on the face of it, have lost their share of 50-50 balls. Have you seen that, or is it just?
We've had a couple games in particular where that's been the case, yeah. And it shows up in particular last week with you're referring to in particular a touchdown pass.
Yeah, there's been several.
Or against Alabama.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it gets back to what we just talked about earlier. Somebody who asked, Gabe asked. Those things are amplified in losses, and the games that we have lost, the 3 games we have lost, that's another part of the formula for non-success, and turnovers fit into that. There's been in those games more than a couple of those turnovers have been those types of balls. So not only have they not been completed, they've gone to the other team. So that fits into that category, and just like what most people notice, just like you said, you notice that more, particularly in a loss.
Go to the back, Darrell, then Aubrey.
Coach, moving forward to Western Carolina, did you recruit Troy Mitchell, and can you talk about the kind of quarterback he is?
No, we didn't, but we probably should have, I guess, since he's the all-time leading all-time yardage guy there at Western Carolina. He's a guy, for those of you who don't know, he's a Houston product. He's a Cy Falls guy, and they've got one guy from the state of Texas on their team, and he's that guy, and he's one of the greatest players in their history at quarterback. So, he's going to be excited to come in here and probably have a lot of people here, and hadn't been back this way. But he's an exciting player, and he averages close to 50 yards a game rushing. He can throw it around. It'll be good for us, because it's a read option team. When I say read option, it means a little different than zone read. They're going to run some zone read, and they're going to pop it out on the perimeter and run some options, some things that gave us some issues last week. And so, we're going to have to be disciplined in what we do and be able to tackle in space. But he's obviously the all-time leading yardage guy and passer for a reason. So he's been able to put pressure on people a lot of different ways. They played Tennessee earlier this year, which I think they seat about 500 or 700 people less than we do. So they're used to big stadiums and travel, and it'll be good. We need to get back on the field and play. We need to get away from talking about things and dissecting this and that. We need to play football. We need to play football against somebody else, and that'll be good for us Saturday night.
To the right here, Aubrey, and then down front, Brent.
I'm sure if you could put your finger on it, you would have figured it out already. But as far as home games against SEC opponents, is that something where you've tried different things from year to year, and y'all have changed up the preparation, is for some reason haven't quite, hit on whatever it is that makes y'all so good on the road, haven't quite been able to capture that at home?
No.
Okay, down front, Brent.
No, we haven't. So it's been 3 days since we lost, and I know what you're getting at over the course of time. But obviously the old adage is, hey, listen, you want to make your preparation for road games as similar to home games as possible, so that there's no break in the routine. So that's been the way we've done things. So it's to say that the preparation or the routine is different for home or road games, for us hadn't been the case. The results have been different.
Down front, Brent.
I know there don't seem to be any this season, but are there any quick fixes at linebacker for you, or is that just something in recruiting moving forward?
Yeah, it is. I think you've seen, we started off the season with A.J. didn't play in the first 2 games. I think what you saw was he has gotten progressively better this year. With statistically, it was probably his best game last Saturday. The Teralaka not playing this year was a real blow to us. He'll be back. He'll get this year back as a redshirt year, so that'll help him. You know, Sean Washington is really healthy and has gotten better. You know, the young freshmen that we have are all playing special teams, and those guys we don't have a lot of guys who have played at that position before this year. So, you know, we signed 4 or 5 linebackers last year, and this year, you know, you've seen Claude George play in flashes and do well. He and Richard Moore, but they're first-year players. So, you know, the fix for that is those guys getting better, and like many positions on this team, you know, all of those guys will be back next year.
Go to the left, KO.
Coach, how much of the issue is a physical? They're just not in the right place at the right time, and how much of it's between the ears, just thinking too much about what's going on?
The issue from Saturday night, because 3
Yes,
weeks
sir,
ago,
absolutely.
3
Yeah.
weeks ago, that wasn't an issue.
No, I mean,
So the issue from Saturday night was a little bit of both.
Okay, I hear.
I mean, we missed a lot of tackles Saturday night.
Aubrey.
Quite a few.
With this being the last home game for some of the seniors on the team, how have they kind of handled the struggles, but also, you know, try to enjoy this preparation for what will be their last home game, some of those guys, and what's it been like for that group, and, you know, just maybe some thoughts on some of those guys that this will be their last home game?
No, I think, you know, it goes real fast, you know, and you know, we, in a meeting yesterday, we talked as a team, you know, nobody cares more than seniors because, you know, for a lot of these guys, you know, they're guaranteed really 180 minutes more football. Yeah, there's a bowl game. They don't know where that's going to be, what's going to happen with that. But for most of them, it'll be the last time they play organized football for the rest of their life. And so their sense of urgency is always different, no matter what it is, how much you preach it than a younger guy, because younger guys always say there's always next year. You know, I will always be able to get better, and they think it's a long ways to that point. I was laughing with Mike Matthews. I said, it just seems like yesterday that I was driving up to your house behind in the white picket fence, and I used to, actually I lived maybe 4 miles away from his house in Houston at that point. And I said, it seems like just the other day I was there and sitting with your mom, and we had your dad on speakerphone because he was still in Tennessee, and he said, man, that's hard to believe that I got, you know, really 3-4 more games left here. And so, you know, for everybody else, it seems like a long time, but for these young men, you know, you blink your eye, and particularly if you play as a freshman, time flies by. And you know, they understand it. It's an emotional time. You know, Jake will be here this weekend. Mike, I was just coming down with Mike, and Mike said, you know, this will be, I think they're going to take their family Christmas picture on the sideline, because it's going to be the first time all of them have been together at one place in maybe the last 6-7 years. So the whole family. But you know, that's just one example of what happens. And you know, you look at this group of guys. You know, this is really the first class of guys to go through SEC football as a complete class. And so, you know, they're transitional guys. They're guys that came here with a purpose, and they're guys that are very, very proud of what they're doing and how they're doing it. And you know, it will be like most senior nights, but in particular, you know, it will be an emotional night for a lot of players and families, and it should be because of the special moments that they've had here at Texas A&M, and the ones that they're still fighting to achieve.
Go to the left, Cease.
Kevin, you talked about the turnovers, but an offense, has the offensive line made the kind of progress this season that you envisioned? And you made that effort with the physicality, the running game. Are you getting, now that you're in SEC play, is that better where you at there?
Well, statistically, it depends on how you look at it. Statistically, we've been able to run the ball the last couple of weeks pretty well. I think Trey Carson has been effective. He's up around 4 or 5 yards a carry. So it depends on anytime, Cease, you're not winning at a rate that you want to win, or there are things that everybody's looking for. What's the problem? And sometimes it can be a combination of a lot of different things. And when you turn the ball over the way we've turned it over in our losses, that everything gets amplified. When you are, we had 9 possessions Saturday. So there's a combination of two things. You average somewhere between 11, 12, us a lot of times 13, 14 possessions a game. We had 9, we scored on 2, and we turned the ball over in the end zone twice. So, the ball, we moved the football. Was it as effective? Did we score the points that we wanted to score? No. So there are a lot of things that work in that factor. We're always wanting to get better. I think that we've at times we've been effective, at times we haven't. And so, those are things that we have tried to address and we are addressing on a weekly basis, either with scheme, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, or with tempo, or even with different players in there. So all those things are all in play, but the execution is probably more important than the actual play itself, if that makes sense.
We'll wrap it up with Olin right here, the red shirt, second row. There you
go. Kevin, in what ways do you feel like y'all have made progress just from last season?
I like I said, I think Brent asked the question. I said, let's wait and see after the season. We've got 2 more conference games. We've got a game this weekend, and let's see where we are. And you try to make progress every week. I think that you look at our football team, and probably the biggest thing that jumps out to me is that everybody who is in a key position just about on this football team will be back next year. And probably our most visible and biggest playmakers on this team will be back. So what does that tell you? I don't know. But I do know that they're playing in meaningful games, and some guys have had good moments and they've had bad moments, and that's what experience is all about, particularly defensively. With all the leading tacklers, the leading pass rusher, and the second leading pass rusher, all 3 of the safeties, and the linebackers that you brought up. We don't lose any of those guys. So, defensively, there's a foundation there of guys that we have spent time with that are gaining experience and are not walking out the door. Alonzo and Julian have done a very, very nice job and been steady inside, but it's given Zaykoven and Mac a lot of reps in there too, the return. So I would say this, that there's a lot of young guys that they're having a learning experience, and we're not a young football team. But we're a team that has a lot of players that are coming back next year and with experience, and have played a lot this year.
All right, Coach, thank you.
All right, thank you.